Well, so is there anything else you've sort of pivoted on in the last 5 or 6 years before we wrap this up?
One of the things that I come down really hard on is beef, lamb, and pork, and milk that isn't fermented. And I wrote about this in The Plant Paradox. There's a sugar molecule in beef, lamb, and pork and milk that is called Nu5 capital GC. It lines the blood vessels of these animals. It's in the mammary glands of these animals. We have a very similar molecule that's called Nu5 capital AC. Nu5GC and Nu5AC are identical except for one molecule of oxygen. They're otherwise the exact same molecule. They're a sugar molecule, sialic acid. Now, our gut wall has these sugar molecules. The protective layer of our blood vessels, which is called the glycocalyx, and there won't be a test, is lined with Nu5AC sugar molecules. The blood-brain barrier, the thing that protects our brain, also has a glycocalyx that's made of Nu5AC. Our joint surfaces are made of Nu5AC. Unfortunately, when we eat Nu5GC, it's absorbed and we make an antibody to it, an aggressive antibody to it as a foreign substance. Now, I wrote about this in The Plant Paradox, and we know that there's a strong association between red meat eating and coronary artery disease, dementia, arthritis, and cancer. Strong association. Association does not mean causation.
After today's video, I put a 50% off discount link for Hiya Kids Multivitamins. I'm a dad, I've got 2 young kids, and I can attest to how difficult it is to get them to eat everything that's on their plate. I'm not suggesting that they're lacking in nutrition, but I do think that adding a good multivitamin can be fun and only really beneficial. So Hiya is a multivitamin that is chewable, sweetened with monk fruit. So the kids get to have fun. Like our routine is, hey, get your jammies on and then you can have your vitamin. They love it. Like they think they're getting a treat and it's something that's nourishing for them. Plus it's establishing a good pattern. So I think as a dad, it's awesome. And Hiya was created by 2 dads that saw a need in the marketplace and they saw a need that kids really needed. So anyhow, that link down below saves you 50% off your first order with Hiya. You can check them out. They've got an awesome lineup and I think you'll really dig it and your kids will dig it too. And if they don't like them, they taste good and you can eat them.
I proposed and other people proposed that because these 2 molecules are so similar, that if we develop antibodies to Nu5GC, and we do every time we eat it, then we mistakenly attack Nu5AC because it's so similar. It's molecular mimicry, and that's pretty good. Well, now in this book, the revelation is, here's the bad news. Not only do we make antibodies against Nu5GC, but Nu5GC, because it's so similar to Nu5AC, can substitute for Nu5AC in the lining of our blood vessels, in the lining that protects our brain, and in our joints. And so we attack the Nu5GC that's displaced Nu5AC. And the bad news is the more Nu5GC we eat, the more we displace Nu5AC. Now, the really scary part is that animals hate having Nu5GC in their brain, even if they make it, and they actively keep it out because Nu5GC is a major cause of neuroinflammation. So now you've got the wall protecting your brain, now made of Nu5GC. You attack that, the blood-brain barrier gets broken, and now Nu5GC is in your brain, and you actively attack your brain. So it's no longer association, it is now causation. You want the good news?
What's the good news?
Now, first of all, I have no dog in this fight. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. Nebraska is the beef state for a reason. I have no dog in this fight. If you ferment milk or if you ferment animal products, for instance, with a sausage, the bacteria or the yeast actually eat the new 5GC and it's gone. So it turns out that a lot of these long-lived people are actually fermented sheep and goat dairy eaters, and they also are sausage eaters. And the sausage makes it safe. And if you think about it, way long time ago, you had no preservation system for meat, so you had to make it into something that was fermented. In fact, fun fact, prosciutto is loaded with bacteria that are really good for you. And that's what makes prosciutto. And it's eaten all the new 5GC.
Interesting. And it's got all those bioactive peptides. And you look at all the Mediterranean cultures that eat it.
Yeah.
And people in America a lot of times say, oh, that's processed meat.
No. Here it's processed meat. But yeah, I mean, the longest longevity, life expectancy in the world is this little tiny country called Andorra between Spain and France in the Pyrenees Mountains. They have a life expectancy, both men and women, of 90 years. Yeah, pretty good. They're sheep herders, and they eat sausage every day. And you go, wait a minute, that's not good for you. And, well, they're the longest living people in the world.
Interesting. Yeah. What's their carbohydrate intake, if any?
They mainly subsist on cheeses and meats. They do eat grains, but they're totally different than our grains because they don't have any glyphosate over there.
Yeah, I mean, I want to ask you that because you talk to people, they go to Europe, they're like, hey, I ate bread, I ate pasta, and I didn't have any issues. I didn't have GI issues. I didn't have brain fog. Like, clearly there's something different there. Like is there any differences besides the glyphosate? Like, is there anything that, is there lower levels of gliadin? Is it like, what is it?
No, I think Dave Asprey might disagree with me. I think the genetic alterations of our wheat are too easy because even in Europe, harvesting wheat that's a short stalk is much easier than harvesting wheat that's a tall stalk because it tends to break. And remind me to tell you a funny story about oats if we have the time. So most of the wheat, even grown over in Italy or Ukraine, is now basically the same variety that we do. The difference is that we spray almost all of our grains with glyphosate as a desiccant, Roundup. Roundup used to be used for GMO products, but now it's much easier to harvest a field that's dry. And water costs a huge amount of money to carry. And so you're much more efficient if you kill the crop and dry it out and then harvest it. And so factory farms now always spray all their crops with glyphosate to kill it so that they can harvest it on a schedule. So all of our stuff is loaded with glyphosate. In Europe, it's almost non-existent. And each year, the bans in Europe get stronger and stronger against glyphosate. So you're right. I have a lot of my patients who their autoimmune disease is gone, their psoriasis is gone, or their Crohn's is gone, and they go over to Europe, and you're right. They go, oh, that croissant looks really good, or wow, that pasta looks really good, and they have it. And they go, oh my gosh, this is great news. Dr. Gundry has cured me. I can have this stuff. And they come back and they start eating our stuff. They eat the sourdough bread here, or they have our pizza. And within 2 weeks, they're on the phone going, what the heck? My patch on my arm is back, or what the heck? My joint hurts. I thought you cured me. I said, I didn't cure you of glyphosate. And it's the dumb glyphosate.
That's so wild. And I didn't forget. So tell me the oat story.
All right. And I talk about this in the book. There's a banned herbicide that is used, I kid you not, to make oat stalks shorter. because if it's a short stalk, it doesn't break in the wind. And if it breaks in the wind, you're done. And so it's totally illegal in this country to use it to retard the growth of oats. But it's not illegal to use in other countries. And the EPA set a bare minimum standard that this agent shouldn't, be on this. During the former administration's tenure, the EPA was told to loosen the rules for this herbicide. And now all of our oats, including all of our healthy oats like Cheerios and old-fashioned Quaker oats, are loaded with this herbicide, which is banned as unfit for human consumption.
Interesting.
Just so we can have short stalks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, well.
Yep. Oh, well. Well, Dr. Gundry, where can everyone find your new book, and where else can they find you?
Well, wherever you want to order your books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, it'll be there. I've had multiple New York Times bestsellers, so go to your local bookstore. You can be assured that they'll order it because my books luckily sell well.